I've been really interested and fascinated by
I with my hat.
yeah, go ahead. By gotta brand it. I love it. By the work that you've been doing, and honestly, how this brand LBF, Live Breathe Football, has really, at least to me, in a way, exploded into the scene. But obviously, I didn't tell you, but I still have my original shirt from when you won the contest.
No shit. I don't even have one.
It's I can make sure to give it to you. It's a
That's
small. It's
crazy.
still sitting in my mom's flat.
Wow.
It made the trip from Fleetwood all the way to Elkins Park, so I still have that blue shirt with the bridge and everything. So
Wow.
still
Wow.
have it. So I've been a fan, and honestly, even talking to folks like Corey Furlan, they were really excited when I mentioned that I was coming out to talk to you because of what you've done, right? In terms of
Yeah.
creating a company, creating a brand that seems to be really, especially now hitting home with the Philadelphia Union fans. So my
Mhm.
hope was to chat with you and sort of put a face and a voice to the items that they're getting and really, really enjoying. So I'd love to hear from you. Where were you on June 29th, 2013? And what was going through your brain when Okugo went ahead and lifted up that shirt? And I read the story. You guys were trying to skirt around the rules in a way.
Yeah, so where was I? I was actually at one of my closest friends' wedding.
Yeah.
And it's funny because at the wedding venue, I had terrible cell phone service. I didn't even know what was actually happening. And then I remember like a text message came in, and I think it was Dom was like freaking out. So like, let me just step outside and see what's what. And then I went outside and I got service, and it's just like all the tweets come in, all the messages like, "Yo, I just saw Moby on TV." Um, so it was a cool moment. I wish I was able to be in the stadium for it.
Yeah, I can
Um,
imagine.
but it was, I mean, it was a great moment. And at the time we were very young, ambitious, hungry, and we're just trying to think of ways to market ourselves and make some waves in soccer in this country. And we had different ideas, and those ideas kind of were shot down because I feel like it was just a different climate at that time. And we're like, yo, just wear this under your shirt, because that was actually the second game we wore. The first one was against Red Bull, and the plan was, okay, wear it for nationally televised games. If you score, I mean, he was a center back. He was playing center back at the time, so like it was very unlikely for him to score.
Super small odds.
But I think him wearing that and just he really wanted to score and do that for us. So yeah, on June 29th against FC Dallas, he scored.
Awesome header.
Right, but also it's actually funny because now you guys play the Union play FC Dallas tonight. So almost exactly 10 years on.
I think it is exactly 10 years on.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, it's been a long journey for you. Temple student, architecture, and now moving on to the work that you're doing in graphic design and trying to grow an empire, probably the best way to describe it. Or maybe not, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But along the way, I'd be intrigued to hear if there were people who told you this wouldn't work.
If there were, I never paid attention to any of that.
Why is that?
I've always had a very clear mission and vision for LBF and what I think it could have been, and I'm not a person that believes things can't be done or won't work. Right, you just have to find a way to make them work. Right, I knew. Like when I started LBF, even though I was 21, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to put at least 10 years into this. I had no entrepreneurial experience, no fashion experience, nothing. But I was just like, I'm gonna give this at least 10 years, and see where things are. And I thought we'd be way further along. But obviously, as you run a business, you just realize and learn it's trial by fire, right? So a lot of the last decade has been just me becoming a better business person, better entrepreneur. But no, I'm sure there are some people that said it wouldn't work. I remember one person in particular. It was I brought the first batch of LBF shirts to pick up at soccer at Temple, and I was like, "Yo, I'm making these shirts. Do you guys want to buy some?" And a bunch of I was, "Yo, yeah, sure, I'll buy a shirt, whatever, take pictures." And then I remember this one kid was just kind of making fun of the whole thing, and I didn't remember at the time, but I remember when I posted something on Facebook. It was some milestone a few years ago. I don't remember what it was. And he commented, "It was like, yo, bro, I remember when you brought the shirt to pick up and I made fun of you. and like to see where you've grown this too is like really inspiring. So he kind of owned up to that. Like I didn't really remember because I don't remember those things. I don't go like I'm not motivated by negative energy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just motivated by like a very clear vision that I wanted to achieve. So yeah, I'm sure there are people that like say stuff, but it doesn't really get to me.
Probably best not paying attention to them.
Yeah, because I mean, right? There's to me that's different from constructive criticism. Like, hey, this can be better. Like, whenever people say, hey, the jacket's too short or like the sizing is wrong, like I take those things seriously. That's not negative. That's like constructive. Like we can use that and make a better product or make the brand better, right? So I pay attention to those things. But people just hating or saying like, oh, this is not going to work with no real reason or rationale behind it, just I don't pay attention to that.
Now I'm intrigued. Were there any, or is there anyone who helped motivate you or inspire your design style? It's unique, I think, and best displayed to me. Early on, I think it was a design that you had worked with CJ Sapong, and I don't think it was something that actually came to fruition, but with the Kente,
The Kente cloth,
the Kente pattern, really fascinating. Talk to me about the roots of your style and the way you design things.
That's so interesting. So I was born and raised in Nigeria, and I've always been very observant. Like my mom, like made like wedding dresses growing up. She like sewed clothes for people. My mom taught me how to sew when I was in high school. But also like Ralph Lauren is one of my biggest inspirations. Where I always use the example of like the polo brand. Like we've all won polo with the horse and the guy, but like I don't know anyone who's ever played polo or even watched polo. And to me, I'm like, why can't I do that for soccer? Right? Why can't I just make a brand that more than half the planet loves and is obsessed with, but just make it like really, really cool apparel. So yeah, I think for me, I just also like I pay attention to a lot of things. Like being that I studied architecture, I'm drawing inspiration from so many different things. Like I love motorcycles and cars. So I'm always thinking, how can I take two things can make something interesting? So it's not one thing in particular. It's like it's everything. You know, I'm always looking like, okay, that could be cool. That could be interesting. Like, you know, for me, I don't really have any sort of like it can't be done. It's like let's try that. Like let's see where we can go with this. Because I think that's what makes things new and interesting and different, right? When you keep doing things over and over again, it's boring. People get used to it. Like, you know, the union collaboration is a great example of that. It's like, when I'm pushing a design team, it's like, how can we make this just like jump off the page? When someone sees this on Instagram or whatever, how do they go, holy shit, I want that? Like, how do we make this different from every other product that exists on the market? So yeah, for me, it's just like looking at different things. But I would say like, you know, Ralph Lauren, definitely a big inspiration. But on a personal level, my mentor, Richard Tate, he passed away about a year ago. You know, at the time when I started LBF, he started a company in Seattle called Golasso. It's all natural sports beverage. And we got connected. After I graduated, I lived out there to work, help do graphic design for his company, but we became like really, really close and did a lot of projects and stuff together. And he was like a big inspiration for me in both like creatively, because we both love like design, motorcycles, soccer, but also just business and understanding, okay, how does creativity and commerce like intersect, and how do you sort of make or build profitable businesses from like really cool creative ideas? Because he invented Cranium.
Oh, okay.
The really popular board game in the 90s. So it's like, how do you take an idea that's really quirky and unique and fun and make something out of it?
So I want to jump around here because you touched on something that I find very interesting in terms of not knowing what it feels like to see this or to experience it, but walk me through what it feels like to know that you collaborated with your home club.
Oh man, wow, that's a great question.
It's a team that started from the ground up, much like your company. And
I remember when like they were trying to bring the union to Philadelphia. Like I remember those like sessions. Even Dom like was part of like the OG Sons of Band. Like I remember those moments. It's surreal, you know. And I think what I love about what I do is I'm very connected to the emotional side of it, right? Like I understand it's business. I understand that like it's 6 ounces of cotton. It's a hat, whatever. But I'm like, it's not though. Like it means something to me and to people, and that's why this union collection was like so special to me. And I was just like, you know, I don't really get to design as much anymore because I'm running the business. But when this came, I was like, okay, like I'm going back in, like I'm going to design some stuff in this collection because like
It's special to you.
It's special to me, you know, and yeah, it's hard to describe the feeling because, like I said, like the LBF and the Union kind of came up around the same time. Maybe them obviously a few years before us. It's very local. Like I've gone to countless Union matches. I'm friends with a lot of people that played for the Union. Right, Amobi Okugo is a big part of our brand story. I met him when he played for the Union. So yeah, I think a lot of it's like really sort of intertwined with our identity.
Is there, going off of that, is there a different sense or a different feeling that you go through, especially the first day that it was all of it was available in the stadium? And I saw the picture of you standing near
Yeah.
the shopping stand right by the supporters gate. I know exactly where you were standing.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the feeling? What was going through your head when you saw hundreds of people, thousands of people? That stadium packs 104% on average.
Yeah.
Going and admiring your work. What was going through your head? Because that's, to me, something that's not, to me as a mortal, you know, it's not human to me. I can't even comprehend.
It was, I couldn't stop laughing because the funniest part was like seeing people walk in and just stop and like really look at it and go, like, you can just see it on their faces, like, oh, this is cool, you know? But then seeing people like fight at the checkout line for like the last large or the last like medium size, like this is mine, got it first. Very surreal feeling, very hard to describe. I just couldn't stop laughing. It was just seeing people like walk past me like, oh, can I grab that hoodie? And I'm just like, yeah, like they just have no idea that like, and for me, it's not really important to like say that it's my thing because it's really their thing. Like it's for them to experience. But yeah, man, it's like a very strange feeling. And just even like I went to the game on Sunday and it was raining and I had the anorak on, and as soon as I walked in, bam, like 3 different people wearing it, and I was just like, okay, that's, and like to me, I was just another fan wearing a piece of the Union merchandise. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a special feeling, and I don't take it for granted because I realize this is my contribution to growing the sport in America.
What are the challenges you face, not only when competing with major clothing brands, but also with other independent brands that are vying for the same recognition, the same eyes, and the same dollars?
What are the challenges? Honestly, I think the challenges are the same for anyone trying to grow a business from nothing, right? It's like the operational challenges, the logistical challenges, just because like we're a cool soccer brand and everyone's like, oh my God, you guys are killing, does not mean we're immune to like the whims of the economy, trends, business, like just to react. Like, so like those are the challenges. And I think for me, the biggest challenge is kind of going from that kid who's like, I just want to make the coolest soccer stuff to like, okay, now like I'm trying to run a profitable business and grow that. And then that comes with challenges and things that like, I just don't have any, I didn't go to business school. So like, how do you hire people? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like even like making a t-shirt so that I wanted to make pants and oh yeah, I'm just gonna go down the street and like get my friend who I play soccer with that has a screen printing shop to make my shirts to, oh snap, I need to make pants to fit the factory in China. Like how do you go from those things? I have this challenge. I think more specifically to like the industry that we're in and like other like local brands, I just firmly believe there's room for everybody, you know? So yeah, we do have people we compete with, but it makes us better. It makes me go, oh, that's cool. I need to make something better the next time around.
I'd love to ask you this question, and maybe it's me sleuthing pretty far into the rabbit hole, but in your conversation with Karith Gabriel in 2019, you had mentioned something along the lines of the ability or maybe the advantage of being someone looking from the outside in, trying to do things differently.
Yeah.
Getting a deal with Dick's sort of doesn't put you in the outside looking in, unless I'm completely wrong. So do you still feel like you have that advantage? Do you still feel like you're doing things differently?
Yeah, 100%. And that was 4 years ago, and I know exactly what I meant when I said that. I felt like I was just, and I am just a kid who's like had an idea and wanted to just make products that I didn't see on the shelves, right? I feel soccer apparel is fascinating because I think soccer kits is some of like the most beautiful pieces of clothing ever made. right? I have tons of soccer kits, but then once you get outside of the soccer kits, I felt like the offerings and what was available to supporters and fans and players, I'm just like, most of it's not cool. It's like, I want to make cool shit. And as I've gotten more and more involved in the business, I realized I want everyone else to have cool shit as well. And part of that is part of Dick's Sporting Goods is saying, you know what, it's distribution. Like, I can make the coolest shit over here in my small little corner of Brewerytown, but how do I get that kid who's in LA, in Minnesota, in Cincinnati, who's like me, or is like, I want cool soccer stuff. Where does he get it? Does he have to come all the way here to get it? Obviously, the internet's one way for them to get it, but it's like, if you can just walk down the street or drive 15 minutes from his house to the Sporting Goods and like walk in and see like really cool stuff on the shelf, I think that's a breakthrough. I think that's still like, my perspective is still as an outsider, like, okay, how do I, and I hate to use the word disrupt because I think it's sort of lost its meaning, but how do I just do things differently than everyone else is doing them, but for a large customer base that I know exists?
You additionally, in a following conversation with Curry, you mentioned how you've been forming these relationships for 10 years, obviously them manifesting themselves in this deal with the Philadelphia Union after a lot of trial and tribulation to finally get there, and really thinking that 2026 is going to be another pivotal moment for you and the LBF team.
Yeah.
But prior to that, I wanted to sort of hear if there were any thoughts or plans for Copa America in 2024, Club World Cup in 2025, and I think you don't have to be a super knowledgeable pundit to know that, Philadelphia has been selected as a city to host a game for the World Cup.
Yeah.
My guess is that 2024 and 2025 may serve as dress rehearsals for the city. Do you have any plans, or does LBF have any plans that you guys can share in terms of what you think about doing, and how do you think you'll capitalize on those moments?
Great question. Nothing I can share just yet because those conversations are still ongoing. But one of the things I'm really focused and committed to is telling the story that we've been telling for the last decade, and sort of using the vehicles of like Copa America, the World Cup, to tell that story on a bigger and bigger scale, right? Because I think for me, the apparel is just a conduit to tell a story. Like, if I was passionate about like bottling water, LBF would be a bottling water company, right? Like, I was just passionate about making clothes, and I think clothes tell a story. So yeah, I think there are opportunities, which is why the MLS license and things like that are important to sort of establish those relationships, show what we can do, right? Like the Union thing, for example, is a case study that says, hey, we can do this, right? In 2018, we did a collaboration with Adidas, around the corner at the coaches convention, where we did an experiential, like we set up an activation for them when they relaunched the Predator boot. It's like, hey, apparel is one thing, but we can do this other thing as well. So those conversations are ongoing, and I plan to take full advantage of everything that comes our way, because I think I don't take these opportunities for granted. Like, I remember when I was a kid in the dorm room, just sketching t-shirts out and like hoping and praying, like, oh, when the Union t-shirt design competition like happened and I went to the stadium shop and saw that, I was just like, that was like, my mind just exploded. I was like, and now I'm like, why can't we do Copa America? Why can't we do Club World Cup? Why can't we do something for the world? Like, why can't we? Like, and I think the more and more we do and evolve and grow, I think the more those opportunities would make sense to just kind of see what we can come up with.
What team would you dream of collaborating with? You've done a lot already with the Chelsea shirt that's right behind me for when they were in town for the U.S. tour. Yeah. What you've done with the Philadelphia Union. Your partner Dominic, who's not here, Arsenal fan. What is...
He's an AC Milan fan.
AC Milan, so sorry.
I'm an Arsenal fan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What team besides Arsenal? Or would it be Arsenal?
Arsenal is definitely one of those teams, absolutely. Real Madrid, one of those teams. U.S. men's national team, U.S. women's national team. I know Nike has those relations really tied up, but like, it'd be cool to just see what we can do with them if the opportunity presents itself. But also, being born and raised in Nigeria, I want to support the Super Eagles as well. I love what Nike's been doing with their kits and like being very sort of like forward thinking and just sort of like incorporating our culture and like our traditional like Ankara garments in like the style of the kits. So it'd just be cool to like kind of have those clubs and those teams to work with.
As someone myself who reads the news and sometimes writes or talks about the news or reports on things as a journalist, I can be critical of other journalists, and I often am, to myself, never in public. But you as a designer, when you see very important clubs throughout the world who often get treated with the template treatment,
Yeah.
one template that applies for 6 different teams against across 7 different leagues, what does that make you feel?
Oh, that's a great question. From like a fan consumer perspective, it it frustrates me a bit, um, because I know the resources are there to do sort of unique, cool things like they've been done before. But from a business owner perspective, like I understand it, right? Like you think of Nike or Adidas at scale, right? If you have to make patterns for 6 different clubs and millions of jerseys per club, the cost to that is like is massive, right? If you can make a template, right? Because then when you go to your factory, they're cutting the same, like the new Nike kits have like that collar shape right there. If you're cutting that for the U.S. men's national team, Portugal, and every team that has that, right? You save a lot of fabric, right? So I think there's also the environmental component as well, right? Like you can sort of make it, because I know those jerseys are designed to be incredibly efficient, right? Like and minimize waste. So from that side, I get why the templates happen. But from a design perspective, I'm just like, I just want my kit to be different from your kit, have a different pattern, different shape, the whole thing. Like as a fan, like I want that. But as a business owner, as somebody who understands like how clothes are made, I'm like, yeah, I get why they're going down that path.
So you often see through 2 lenses when it comes to these things, unfortunately or fortunately.
I think it's good. I think it's fortunate. I kind of have to because I need to understand what the consumer's feeling and what they want, so I can give them that. But also from a business perspective, is okay, what constraints do we have to to kind of work within? It's like, okay, wow, like I would really, really, really love to do it this way, but the marginal benefit that maybe 5 people on Twitter would be like, oh my God, that's so sick you guys did it this way, is not quite worth the cost of doing it that way.
And I guess as we wrap up here, I know we're running into 26 minutes of talking, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I can't thank you enough for sparing the time to chat with me, let alone trying to plan getting together. And this is maybe typical, where do you see yourself in 5-10 years, but where do you want to see LBF in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, 5 years, 6 to 2028. So, post World Cup, I'd like us to be the most prominent like soccer brand out there, right? And what I mean by that is when you just think of like soccer apparel, lifestyle, like I want to kind of be in that conversation. Can we do that in 5 years? It's possible, right? It took a lot of aggressive growth, a lot of just, good luck. But when we got here, right? You know what I mean? Like I made a T-shirt for the Philadelphia Union 10 years ago, and then now we're doing this collaboration. So why not? So yeah, I'd like to see LBF be definitely more globally like recognized and known. And for example, the Dick's Sporting listing, MLS license, those are all sort of pieces to put a much bigger puzzle together.
And I guess as we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. What are your predictions for the Philadelphia Union this year? Obviously, wrapping up the season, the regular season now, long schedule. What do you hope to see from the Union this year after obviously a devastating end to last year?
Redemption. The team's good enough to win the MLS Cup. I believe that. And Philadelphia deserves that. This team, the club, the fans, they deserve the MLS trophy, and I'd love to just see that in Philadelphia. And I know Jim Curtin is definitely the guy to do it. I mean, just the way we lost, it was just like, it was heartbreaking. But, this kind of goes into sort of a critique of MLS, but as a fan, not as like a sort of partner with them, but it's like, having the final in like a non-neutral ground, like sort of that plays a lot into like how things go. So yeah, I think it'd be great to see Philadelphia back in MLS Cup and winning it.
final question. This one just came up, so I apologize. You had mentioned your relationship with Okugo and then also sort of CJ Sapong as well. If there was one Philadelphia Union player that's on the roster right now, who would you want to collaborate with and sort of take their influence into a piece of clothing for LBF?
Oh, that's a great question. I think it'd be Bedoya. Right, like I met him when I dropped the order off for the team, and he came in VC and we were just kind of chatting very briefly. But I've heard so many things about him, just sort of like his off the pitch, like what he does, what he's involved in. I'm just like, he's a very interesting, very like sharp guy, and I just love to kind of do something with him. You know what I mean? Like just a project. It doesn't even have to be apparel; it could just be something. You know what I mean? Like he's been around the world. I mean, he's captained this team for how many years now? Like he's a stalwart, and I think it'd be cool to like do something with him.
Hey, just want to thank you once again. 30 minutes, I appreciate it.
No, my pleasure, Jose. Jose, thank you. This is great. You had me thinking a lot. I was like, damn, I answered this question.